agencies and other narcotics agencies, just intel sharing, basically.
And you had said that there are a lot of pop-up shops. Was this being distributed over the last, years, or did this just start?
I mean, it's a safe assumption. I don't want to comment too much on that, because there is a continuing investigation with it, but it's a pretty safe assumption.
Do you know how long this has been in operation?
Well, we've been investigating it for approximately 12 months.
They're constantly experimenting and constantly changing things, and it's not only adding drugs to other opiates, but they're always trying to enhance the high that you get even from marijuana. The thing I would be more concerned with, and again, the chief alluded to the unsanitary conditions in this place with 3 large dogs that were apparently allowed to go wherever they wanted to. And I would be more concerned with people who smoke this ingesting fecal matter than some of the more dangerous drugs out there.
We're here to discuss some great police work that happens, positive police work that just happened in our community. On October 10th at 7 a.m., following a year-long investigation by our department, the Cuba Police Department, in conjunction with the Allegany County Sheriff's Office, Allegany County District Attorney's Office, Drug Enforcement Administration, Border Patrol, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Cattaraugus County Sheriff's Office, Canine Unit. We executed a search warrant at 8670 Farnsworth Road in the town of Cuba. During the course of that search warrant, approximately 600 marijuana plants with a weight of approximately 1,000 pounds were seized, along with 100 pounds of dried marijuana bud, psilocybin mushrooms, laboratory equipment, and an illegal handgun. The total conservative street value of these illegal substances comes to approximately $3.5 million. And from that investigation, Daniel S. Ackerman of Cuba and an Ana Laura Maldonado Delgado, who is an undocumented immigrant. Mr. Ackerman was released within an hour. Within an hour, he was released, so he's back in the community now. Maldonado Delgado was an undocumented immigrant, so she was taken over for county arraignment, and then she was turned over to Border Patrol. One other thing I should make note of is that this is actually in conjunction with the DEA and Border Patrol, so this is going to potentially turn into a federal, or it is a federal case also, so we're working in conjunction with them.
So I guess the DA, there wasn't enough to charge to hold Ackerman?
No, it's important to highlight that despite the fact that we have a number of charges here, that we have high-level charges, we still did not have a charge that was a high enough level to fall within our new bail laws. The only way you can hold somebody on bail for a drug felony is if it is an A1 felony. That is the highest level of felony that we have in our law. And it essentially amounts to operating as a major drug trafficker. It's a very difficult standard to meet. You have to show documented proof of a number of sales over a period of time, and you also have to show proof of a certain amount of profit that then goes back into that business. It's $75,000 over the last 12 years. That's a very difficult standard to meet, especially when you're talking about a number of hours between charging someone, executing a search warrant, and then taking them to cap court. So I think this highlights yet another failure of our bail reform that we have arguably the largest drug bust in the history of this county, yet it's still not good enough to meet our new bail rules. So unfortunately, no bail is set.
And to add to that, as you can imagine how frustrating it is for an administrator or a department head. I don't like to play politics, but we have a lot of manpower going into this and a lot of overtime into these investigations and a lot of frustration because these people, as you can see, there's a resisting arrest charge here, and I would venture to say that we have at least 50%, if not more, in the last year of these people we're arresting resisting us. And to me, it's almost like they're just emboldened, and it's frustrating because we do all this work, we potentially get hurt. I mean, I've been doing this 20 years, I've seen this a lot, and since the bail reform has happened, they're out within an hour. And we were here from 3 in the morning until late, well into the evening last night. And so it is kind of frustrating from our perspective to to have to endure this, be subjected to these conditions inside these buildings, and then find out they're released.
What did he do to earn the resisting arrest charge?
Just Ackerman was processed and sent to Cap Court to await arraignment. Maldonado Delgado was processed and sent to Cap Court and turned over to U.S. Border Patrol agents. Everybody knows that marijuana is legal now to some degree, obviously not in this fashion, but one of the things that is important in this case is the fact that they do not have a license through the Office of Cannabis Management. And, inside of this location, there were workers that were working under the table and not an actual real workforce that is legitimate. Some of the other things that is important to take away from this, as you can see some of the photos behind me, as they cycle through, are the sanitary conditions of this location. They were completely unsanitary and in a state of a deplorable state. The other takeaway from this is that they were in the beginning phases, or actually, and I know that the undersheriff can speak more to this because he's had a lengthy career in narcotics, but they were in the stages of having what would be a lab where they would manufacture their own synthetic cannabis or a concentrated cannabis oil. The other thing that I would touch on is in that lab, they were also putting together those vape pens that people see, or those apparatus that people use to actually ingest the synthetic cannabis. And we did find some gummies in there that looked like they were going to be basically used to turn over the synthetic cannabis. And that's important because that is what is getting funneled into our school systems, and a lot of younger kids are getting their hands on. And as everybody has probably seen in the communities, there's a lot of pop-up marijuana shops that are coming up that are completely unregulated through the Office of Cannabis Management. And this is what you get when those things happen, because you end up getting stuff that is not regulated, it's not tested, and you oftentimes don't know what's in it. And oftentimes it can lead to things like fentanyl and other dangerous drugs being put into those things. So,
No, it's important to highlight that despite the fact that we have a number of charges here, that we have high-level charges, we still did not have a charge that was a high enough level to fall within our new bail laws. The only way you can hold somebody on bail for a drug felony is if it is an A1 felony. That is the highest level of felony that we have in our law. And it essentially amounts to operating as a major drug trafficker. It's a very difficult standard to meet. You have to show documented proof of a number of sales over a period of time. And you also have to show proof of a certain amount of profit that then goes back into that business. It's $75,000 over the last 12 years. That's a very difficult standard to meet, especially when you're talking about a number of hours between charging someone, executing a search warrant, and then taking them to Cap Court. So I think this highlights yet another failure of our bail reform, that we have arguably the largest drug bust in the history of this county, yet it's still not good enough to meet our new bail rules.
Were they working for somebody else?
no comment.
What's the history behind the Farnsworth and the factory?
It was a local family-owned business at one time. Fran and Bill Fox owned it as Farnsworth. It was later sold to Stockers, and they moved the operation out of there, and the Fox family sold the factory at that time.
Anytime you're dealing with these types of operations, you have to worry about those weapons, firearms, things like that. So it adds another level, first of all, for the charges, but also another level of danger for the staff that is entering those buildings.
I see it as my job to facilitate cooperation between all the law enforcement agencies in the county. And this is just a great example of the chief taking upon himself to request that type of assistance from us in the DA's office, as well as the federal agencies that were involved. We provide the resources, we provide the manpower and the assistance, and the undersheriff, as you know, has got quite a long history in dealing with drugs in this county in the southern tier. So I see it as a valuable asset, not only to our office, but to the entire county, to be able to have him assist these police departments that are doing these types of investigations. We have a serious drug problem in this county. I think everybody knows it. And we're struggling finding a way to approach and deal with these issues. But I will say this is a model case, as far as I'm concerned, of local police department doing a fantastic job finding the resources and the support that they need to conduct a full-scale investigation like this, culminating in an arrest and seizure of this type of drug paraphernalia. I'm very impressed with what I see, and the town of Cuba and Chief Birch should be commended for the job they've done here.
It should be noted too, they've been with us at every one of these search warrants. The drone team that they have, that is an excellent asset for the community. That helps us, maintain safety and have a good visual on these things. And they've been with us every time we've done one of these search warrants in the last year or so. I mean, the partnership has definitely been there, and we're thankful for that also.